Hey there, welcome to the Uplift. We got a great show for you, great cast of characters as well. Among them these, a woman who has collected thousands of stuffed animals over the years and brings them to places you might not expect. Another place you might not expect is the location of this man's barber shop. Where is it? We'll explain. Also, a doctor with a patient who became timid and shy. Well, he found a unique way to lift her spirits once again. And an athlete with cerebral palsy who had a very big dream and a dad by his side helping him to fulfill it. Plus, a group of fathers and their sons getting together to shave their heads, and this time there's a good reason behind it. All of that, plus our heartwarming videos, the ones you just gotta see. You know what you're watching. It's The Uplift. Hey there, welcome to The Uplift, the show that lifts you up for at least the next 30 minutes, hopefully a little bit longer than that. You and me as well. I'm Tony DeCopel. We are going to begin with a woman in Pennsylvania who spreads holiday cheer in her own unique way. Here's Caitlin O'Kane with more.
Who drives around with a trunk full of toys spreading Christmas joy? Yes, Santa, but also Patricia Gallagher. Every holiday season in Philadelphia, Patricia hands out stuffed animals. Not to kids, but to seniors. Her Christmas tradition started in 2009. She was an empty nester and felt lonely.
And I just got this idea in my head to call 2 nursing homes at random and ask if my mother and I could come and read 'Twas the Night Before Christmas. So I gathered up all the stuffed animals that I had accumulated from my kids who are now grown over the years, and I brought the stuffed animals with me. But when we went to gather them and take them back so we could go to the next nursing home, nobody wanted to give up their teddy bear or their stuffed animal in any way.
That day, Patricia saw the power of a simple Christmas gift.
The room on that particular December 1st day, it was drab. It was just a nursing home, and it was just a lot of elderly people sitting in wheelchairs, just kind of waiting and waiting for what? And all of a sudden, the whole room became alive with people jingling bells and holding Santa Clauses and everything. And they really didn't want to give them back because they thought we had given them a gift.
To continue the tradition of giving, she put an ad on Craigslist asking for gently used stuffed animals. In just over 2 years, she collected 11,000. She takes them to senior living facilities and homes for veterans and retired nuns.
Who would think that elderly veterans would want stuffed animals? But they did, not only for comfort, but they were conversation starters. It reminded them of when they were a kid. And I remember one man said, "You know, I never wanted to go to first grade and I wouldn't go." And my father said, if I would go to first grade that day, he would take me to the Brooklyn Zoo. And you know what? This was the first animal I saw at the Brooklyn Zoo, and it looked just like this giraffe.
Spreading joy isn't just a holiday pastime for Patricia. We first met her as the Happy Flower Lady. She passes out free flowers to anyone who needs a pick-me-up. And when the Uplift heard the Happy Flower Lady transforms into a local Mrs. Claus during the holidays, we wanted to know more.
I've always heard of the giver's high. I didn't know what that meant. But honestly, when you give, you really do get more back. Every morning, whether it's the flowers or the stuffed animals, I have a purpose.
Patricia estimates she'll collect about 250 stuffed animals a week during the holiday season. And even on Christmas Day, she'll fill up her car and drive to a nursing home to hand them out. Because just like Santa, her job of spreading joy never stops.
Who doesn't like a stuffed animal? Love that story. Coming up, meet the father-son duo who set out to complete one of the hardest physical challenges any athlete can do. Plus our heartwarming videos, the ones you gotta see. Stick around. You're watching The Uplift. Welcome back to The Uplift. We've got those heartwarming videos now, the ones you stuck around to see. And we're going to start with a viral trend, one you might be familiar with, but this one's extra cute. Parents on TikTok are handing their kids their phones and then asking them to record them dancing. Thing is, the camera is not turned toward the dancing parent, it's actually facing the child, unbeknownst to them. This video here ends up capturing the unsuspecting kid's candid reaction to the dance, and the end result, it is often unbearably sweet. And not just for the kids, people are also turning the camera on their parents or significant others to sneakily record their wholesome and sometimes not so wholesome reactions as well. I love that. All right, our next video comes from a mom of 6 sons. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sons, and she's now pregnant with baby number 7. Take a look at her pregnancy reveal.
1.
No.
Wait, on 3 or is it on go?
No, it's 3. You didn't listen.
Wait, do it again.
3, 2, 1, twist. Okay, ready? Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Okay, ready? 3, 2, 1.
I think they're excited about their baby girl. Gosh, that's a lovely, lovely scene there. You did it! 6 tries, that's all it took, on the 7th. All right, coming up, meet the barber with a shop in an unlikely place. He uses a haircut to make an impact each and every time. And another hair story. Why did a group of dads and their sons decide to shave all their hair off? Gone, completely. Bald heads, look at that. There's a reason for it, we'll get into it. Also, a doctor who noticed a sad change in his patient and then found a simple way to get her back on track. What did he come up with? We'll tell you after the break. A barber in Minnesota is running a unique shop with a powerful mission. Here's David Begnaud.
In the basement of a Minnesota retirement home, in a workshop turned barbershop, Tom Gorski is doing what he's done for 70 years.
Yeah.
The haircuts are free, but tips are expected and appreciated. Gorski learned to cut hair in the Navy, then perfected his skills over 36 years in his Minneapolis shop, and now he uses them to help the poorest people of South Africa.
There's a need, and I have resources. That's what you do.
Gorski and his wife Mary saw that need firsthand 10 years ago with the organization Arm and Arm. He was determined to help.
Give it to people that need it more than we do.
Instead of just dropping the ball like the rest of us all did, he keeps cutting hair to do some good in the world, and we all appreciate that.
Best thing we ever did.
In 5 years, Gorski has raised $13,000 cutting hair, and he's donated thousands more.
As long as my hands are steady, I'll just keep doing it. One person can make a difference. You just roll up your sleeves and you do what the heck you can.
Tom the Barber, using his skill to make the world a more beautiful place.
Wow, I see some 20s in that jar. Well done there. All right, you stuck around and we got another hair story for you. This one about a group of people who shaved all their hair off, gone, completely absent. What's behind their urge to go bald? Here's CBS Minnesota's John Lawrenson with the answer.
Football, basketball, baseball. I play video games.
They are the typical hobbies of 7th grade boys, a time when everyone is just trying to fit in.
I didn't want to really stick out, so I wanted other people to be there with me so it'd be easier.
When Thatcher Johnson began losing his hair, it was tough and difficult to explain to other kids what alopecia is.
With alopecia comes depression and anxiety and fear and embarrassment and all those things, those icky feelings.
Because Thatcher couldn't change what was happening, his friends and family decided to change for him.
Thatcher kind of was like, hey, I think I want to just do it. So, and I was thinking, well, I was like, well, I'm going to do it too then. You know, I don't want you to be alone.
So they threw a head shaving party, thinking a couple people would join in. But it turned into something much bigger. Dads and sons alike showed up and got their heads shaved for Thatcher. Many for the first time.
I was very surprised, yeah. I thought it was going to be my dad for sure, but I didn't know anyone else was going to do it.
It was fun. It was kind of crazy too. Like couldn't believe that we actually shaved our heads.
I was emotional. I got teary-eyed pretty much every time someone else would sit down.
Now, when Thatcher and his friends are at school or playing sports, it's hard to tell them apart, which is exactly how they want it.
And since his buddies have done this for him, he has had nothing but good feelings. I think these boys don't really quite understand how impactful it is. I think maybe when they're adults or parents of their own, they might understand, but it's really powerful, and we're very thankful.
We're going to take you now to a pediatric doctor at Rocky Mountain Hospital for Children in Colorado, a doctor who went above and beyond for a patient who seemed to lose her spark. Here's Caitlin O'Kane with their story.
Hospital stays can be isolating and scary, especially for kids. But going in and out of the hospital since she was a baby, Nellie Carmona made friends, the people who cared for her.
Nellie has actually been a patient of mine since she was just a baby, and she was a ridiculously adorable baby, so I think she kind of captured my heart and the hearts of all my team members right off the bat.
Nellie has scoliosis, or a curved spine. When she was about 13, her condition took a turn, and so did her personality.
At that time, I noticed that she stopped talking to me completely, which was a big change for her because prior to that, she had always had a huge smile and was more than willing to talk. And so it was a really big change, and it worried me a lot because I didn't know why she was not talking to me anymore.
Dr. Jaron Riley says some pediatric patients will become shy or fearful throughout their hospitalizations. Nellie had been through a lot, undergoing several surgeries. Still, her sudden shyness caught Dr. Riley off guard, so he asked her mom about it.
Why do you think Nellie doesn't want to talk to me today? Because I could have offended her in some way. I could have scared her with a word that I used. That's also pretty common. And so thankfully, Mom was super helpful. And she said, I think it's because of the scrubs you're wearing. And she has just come to associate those scrubs with being in the hospital and hurting and being afraid. So that was the trigger for me to not wear my scrubs around Nellie anymore.
Dr. Riley immediately knew what he had to do. Wear something else and something fun.
The first costume I wore was actually my son's chicken suit. It's just like a big rooster pajama. And I wore it into the hospital. I was rounding on her that morning, and it was awesome, to tell you the truth. She didn't open up to me right away, but she was smiling more. She did look more relaxed. And so I felt like that was a huge success.
Dr. Riley kept wearing different costumes every time he saw Nellie, and he eventually saw a change.
When I knew we were establishing trust again and getting through to her again was when she came into clinic after her last hospital visit. And I had worn the T-Rex costume the last time I saw her. And she came in with her little remote control Velociraptor. So I knew she had been thinking about that T-Rex costume and was trying to connect on that same level. So that was huge for me.
Now, Nellie is finished with her scoliosis treatment, but she needs to visit the hospital for some follow-up appointments. And of course, Dr. Riley will be there with a costume on.
Not all heroes wear capes, you've heard. They wear costumes, at least in this case. All right, coming up, meet an athlete with cerebral palsy with a big goal in mind and a dad who stopped at nothing to help him accomplish it. It is a universal law of parenting that you want the best for your kids. Well, this next dad traveled miles and miles in 9 different states to help his son fulfill his dream. Here's David Begnaud.
Well before sunrise, Jeff Agar's already 20 miles into his day. At 59 years old, he is training for another triathlon. It is a goal fueled by his greatest motivation, who's on his own ride up the stairs. This is Jeff's 28-year-old son, Johnny.
Oh, you're a good little boy.
When he was just 3 weeks old, Johnny was diagnosed with cerebral palsy.
Johnny, there you go, that a boy.
It is a muscle disorder that makes it challenging for Johnny to walk and talk.
Look at you. There you go.
Jeff and his wife, Becky, were devastated.
It took a couple seconds to figure out this is a totally different world for us. This is not going to be the typical type of thing.
I remember asking him one day, I said, you know, what if he can't play catch with you? You know, what does that mean to you? And he said, you know, I just love him. It doesn't matter what he can and can't do. You know, it was at that point I thought, gosh, I got the right guy.
The right guy.
Mom's cooking when we get home.
Who pushes through countless long runs, early morning swims in Michigan's frigid lakes, and bike rides 4 hours or more around the neighborhood.
I believe I can fly.
Triathlon's an individual sport that Jeff is taking on for two people, totaling 400 pounds with their equipment. When he swims, he pulls Johnny.
Thank you.
When he bikes, he hauls him.
Morning, thank you for being out here.
And when he runs, he pushes him.
I mean, I'm not a fan of swimming, biking, or running, so which is perfect for triathlon. So this probably wouldn't be in the top 100 things I would select to do. I'm not doing it because I love it. It wasn't like a dream of mine. This is Johnny's dream. I'm just giving him the legs and the power to do it.
Are you trying to prove something to Johnny?
That's a really good question. I think we're trying to show him that you just can't let obstacles stand in your way. He's on the inside now. He's not one of these people externally thinking, what's it like? He's an athlete. He's on the inside of this game.
Solid bike ride, man.
Together, the Agars have competed more than 200 races across 9 states over the past 14 years.
I look at other athletes, I say to myself, you know, if I see themselves pushing themselves, you know, what can't I do?
How do you feel about what your dad does for you? Because really, it's all for you.
Yeah, I think, you know, for me, it's a tremendous blessing that, you know, I'm able to express my desires through him and he understands that. You know, I saw Dad pushing himself to get me across the line and I said to myself, this is ridiculous. I'm capable of doing more.
All right, so make some noise for our PCF and the water.
So 2 months ago, they went after a goal they've attempted 5 times before.
Let's go, Dad, let's go!
Finishing a full Ironman race. That is the ultimate endurance event. It happened in Maryland, where the father and son duo had to complete the 2.4-mile swim, 112-mile bike ride, and 26.2-mile run. That's 140 miles in under 17 hours. And for the very first time, they did it with just 5 minutes to spare. And look who crossed the finish line for the team.
Walking in races was my way of telling Dad, okay, I'm not just gonna say thank you anymore. I'm going to actually put my words into action.
You know, I get emotional not because I pity you. I get emotional because it just gives me a feeling of inspiration to listen to you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. You know, to be able to inspire someone else, it gives my challenges purpose, I think.
It gives my challenges purpose. Well, that's powerful.
Home stretch, Daddy.
Buddy.
I'm doing good.
Johnny is the heart. Jeff is his motor.
If I were married to him, I would be over the moon in love with him, watching him do what he does for my son.
You nailed it, yeah. Even though he got him the 140 miles, he'll always be hiding behind Johnny. He doesn't want to be announced as an Ironman. It's Johnny's moment. And it's the most beautiful thing to me.
Nobody helps you and Johnny get across the finish line.
Okay.
Right, yeah, you don't get any extra time, you get no extra accommodations. That's the tough part of it, but the beauty of it is, if you finish, when they say you're an Ironman, you are an Ironman. You are the same thing as everybody else.
What made you emotional there?
Just the fact that he would see it as he'd rather not succeed than be treated like he's different.
Okay, just relax, breathe.
So, what's next? Team Agar is doubling down.
Good.
They want to secure a spot at the Ironman World Championship. That's happening next year in Kona, Hawaii.
It's considered the most brutal one-day endurance event on the planet.
How long does it take?
You get 17 hours.
17.
Yeah,
And
and we would probably use every minute of it.
Every minute.
For sure.
Now, they competed in the World Championship back in 2016, but they failed to finish the bike portion in the time allowed, so they were eliminated.
Sometimes you win, sometimes you learn, so.
Sometimes you win, sometimes you learn. What a priceless lesson, embraced by his teammate and hero.
It's not about the medal for me, it's not about the fame. It's about doing it as a team.
Is there a better man than your dad?
I've yet to find one for me.
Father and son, their bond as strong as iron, tempered by love.
David Begnaud batting cleanup for us once again, and he clears the bases. He always does. That is our show. I hope it brightened your day. I hope it lifted you up. I'm confident it did. If it didn't, you know what? Reruns are free. I'm going to go find some good news.
This episode of The Uplift is presented by the Subaru Share the Love event.